This is Hino's Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. We keeping the foot on the what? On the decks. We keeping the foot on the what? On the decks. Let's get on to it, man. Errol Spence was snubbed by Ring Magazine. You know what Ring Magazine gets. Stop the presses and pump the brakes on the nonsense. Go sit down somewhere and what? Higgity fucking hush. The truth of the fact of the matter is, Ring Magazine is bullshit. Let me say it again. Hino's Sport has officially declared it. Ring Magazine is bullshit. Because you guys have to understand what Ring Magazine has been written by. You have to look at the generation that's writing this shit now. It's a bunch of Rudy Poo and Plum Plum brains. Classic Dolce troglodytes. Ultra fanboys with the ultra fanboy rhetoric. Beta boy supremes. They don't want to see true alpha extraordinaires govern themselves by true alpha economics. They did this with Floyd Mayweather. They did this with Andre Ward. They don't like era-filled fighters. They don't like guys that lord over and dominate the competition. They want parity. See, when they think of a black fighter, you have to look at the psyche on how these magazines operate. They want a black fighter that gets embarrassed in public. They want that black fighter to get drudged. They want him to get knocked out, and they want him to get knocked down. Let me say it again. They want him to get drudged, and they want him to get knocked out and knocked down. That's what they want to see before they could say that this black fighter is someone they can get behind. Because this is what happens to their European community fan base fighters. This is what happens to their Mexican community fan base fighters. But when they see an elite, slick, or an elite, athletic, explosive, or an elite, powerful black fighter that's unapologetic about the way he governs his affairs, it scares the living daylights out of them. Because you guys have to understand, just off of the strength of the fact that this brother right here is doing his thing, it scares them. Because the most scareful thing on this planet is an unapologetic brother that knows who he is, that's confident and has purpose and an abundance mindset in himself, and governs himself by true alpha economics, and governs himself as a true alpha extraordinaire. This is how Errol the Truth Spence governs himself. This is how Floyd Mayweather governs himself. This is how Andre Ward governs himself. This is how Deontay Wilder governs himself. This is how Gervonta Tank Davis governs himself. This is how the Charlo brothers govern themselves. And they are scared of that. And then when we look at the new crop, the Devin Haney's of the world, the Shakur Stevensons of the world, this is how they govern themselves of the world. They baby true alphas in the making. Let me say it again. They're baby true alphas in the making. They're scared of that. This is why they don't publicize a Shakur Stevenson, because he runs his mouth too much. He's too truthful about Bob Arum, and he's too truthful about what's going on. And they don't like that. They don't like an unapologetic brother. Andre Ward, very vocal about what he used to say. They didn't like that. Floyd Mayweather, very vocal. They don't like that. Errol the Truth Spence, he told the truth. If you're not an American, why are you rooting for Tyson Fury? Let me say it again. If you are an American, why are you rooting for Tyson Fury and not your own? They didn't like that. So because that's polarizing, we have to punish you. And the way that we punish you is we know that you are elite. We know that you are the man at the welterweight division. Deep down they know this because they're Beta Boy Supremes. Beta Boy Supremes always want to be true alphas. Let me say it again. Beta Boy Supremes always want to be true alphas, but they lack the ingenuity, they lack the wherewithal, and they lack the overall ability to be a true alpha. Let me say it again. They lack the ingenuity, they lack the wherewithal, and they lack the ability to be a true alpha. They don't have what it takes because they lack something there. That's the delineation. That's the distinction. That's the separation between an alpha and a fucking beta. So to keep Errol the Truth Spence off of Ring Magazine was typical pure beta boy response to do that. So I'm not surprised because Ring Magazine is governed by beta boys. Because only true alphas respect true alphas. Let me say it again. Only true alphas respect true alphas. That's why Floyd Mayweather told you Errol the Truth Spence got next. That's why Andre Ward, even though he talks about Terrence Bull Crawford, notice he never disrespects Errol the Truth Spence because he knows that bloodline, that lifeline that's in Errol the Truth Spence is a true alpha extraordinaire. And he would never go against that. That's why he doesn't pick. Notice he's very keen on that. Pay attention to him and pay attention to the punch drunk or punch drunkard Roy Jones Jr. Let me say it again. Pay attention to Andre Ward that has all his faculties together, and pay attention to a Roy Jones Jr. that's punch drunk with punch drunkardness. You see a difference. You see the difference between one who is sold out to the master and one who hasn't. And Ring Magazine keeping Errol the True Spence purposefully off of their list of top welterweights, it speaks about the double standards that's associated with boxing that Hino Sport was telling you 6 to 12 months ago. And the prediction king strikes again. And the prediction king strikes again. Listen, when it's all said and done, don't nobody give a fuck about what Ring Magazine thinks, because they've already revealed themselves for a number of years as being a joke. They did this with Floyd Mayweather. They did this with Andre Ward. So why do we even care what they have to say about Errol the True Spence? Errol the True Spence is going to prove all his doubters wrong when he puts Danny Garcia on a fucking stretcher. Let me say it again. Errol the True Spence is going to prove everybody wrong when he pops Danny Garcia's cherry come November 21st and put his ass on a stretcher. Then you're going to have to put his ass. Just like Andre Ward did when he beat Sergey Kovalev. He forced and made them bend the proverbial knee to make him number one pound for pound. And just like Floyd Mayweather did when he did all that heavyweight lifting and he just couldn't be denied, because that's what true alphas do. He forced them to bend the fucking knee. That's what Errol the True Spence is going to do when he puts Danny Garcia out on that stretcher and he comes in super shredder form and he bulldozes and steamrolls his ass. Ring Magazine is going to have no choice but to put him on that fucking list because he's going to make them bend the proverbial fucking knee. This is what alphas have to do with betas. They always have to put them in their fucking place. Let me say it again. This is what alphas have to do with betas. They always have to put them in their fucking place. So Ring Magazine, recap. Stop the presses and pump the brakes on the nonsense. Go sit down somewhere and what? Higgity fucking hush. This is Hino Sport. Checking out.